Hello, everybody, and welcome to the breakfast bunch here on the brunch here on the Urban FM Sports Radio. This is just a new 1 hour show we do on Sunday, just trying to see if we can get everybody to tune in to us to recap some of the big college football matchups we had just yesterday. Here is the schedule for this morning. We're only on till 11 o'clock. We got Lamont Green, former Florida State linebacker who played with the Atlanta Falcons, will be joining us. And then at 10:20, Grayson Mann, who writes for the Clemson Sports News, our good friend Gary McDaniel's publication. He'll be joining us at 10:20. And then we'll wrap up the show at 10:45 with Nathan Perry, who writes for the who has a show called the Referee of the District. We'll talk about the Commanders playing against the Ravens last night in the last preseason football game. So let's get into the our show here. Yesterday we had some big games, a couple of big games for week 0 of the college football season. Northwestern rolled into Ireland to take on Nebraska in a special game for the folks there in Ireland. Now let's go to the videotape here. So some highlights from that game. Nebraska scored first when Garcia caught a 32-yard touchdown pass from the quarterback Thompson to take so Nebraska took an early 7-0 lead, and then Northwestern came right back right after that with a 41-yard pass from Hinsky to Rhino, who was wide open. So that's but that cut the deficit at that time to 14-10 Nebraska. And we head to the fourth quarter, and Nebraska was still having the lead. And Hole was the running back, will give a 4-yard touchdown run to give Northwestern the 31-28 lead over Nebraska. But they needed a defensive stop at the end of the game and Nebraska was marching down the field there at the 25-yard line, and it was picked off by the Northwestern defense, and that's the ball game. Nebraska is 0-1 for another time for the next first. Seems like every year they start 0-1, and Northwestern gets back on the winning track. They're 1-0 to start the season. Former Syracuse quarterback Tommy DeVito, who we saw him last year in the ACC, hopped onto the transfer portal and went to Illinois. And yesterday he took on the Cowboys of Wyoming and had a field day, 27-37 for 2 touchdowns, 194 yards, and a win over Wyoming. So good start for good old Tommy DeVito, who had to leave Syracuse because it was really tough for him to succeed in Syracuse with all the different types of formations and all that stuff. We had our good friend Dan DeTore to talk about that earlier. Again, we were trying to preview. We're going to preview soon. Hopefully, if Lamont Green will be joining us shortly. Hopefully, he texted us earlier. Yesterday said he's all set to go. So, but this is 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. The Noles put on a show against Duquesne. Yesterday, he really did put on a show against the Dukes of Duquesne. Here's the highlights, little highlights there. Duquesne, they carried 54 times for 406 yards and 6 touchdowns to romping the Dukes 47-7 last night in Tallahassee. So Florida State is 1-0, and they're on their way to take on Brian Kelly and the the LSU Tigers. That's going to be next week down in New Orleans. So other teams playing yesterday. Let's see here. Florida A&M, who was basically short-handed yesterday, went into Chapel Hill to take on the Tar Heels of North Carolina and kind of had a hard time with the wind trying to pull off something because they an upset because they really didn't have um, a lot of horses because a lot of them were on suspension. So North Carolina handed Florida A&M their loss, this first loss of the season by a score of 56-24. Little highlights there. Um, the freshman running back for North Carolina had a field day against the Rattlers defense. So so North Carolina and Florida State gets the ACC schedule on the right track. North Carolina next week, I think they're playing an ACC schedule next week. Let's see here. They were going to cancel this game because, wow, the school would have owed North Carolina $30,000 for canceling that game yesterday. That's nice of them. I guess North Carolina likes to make some money off of people. So, so we're waiting for Lamont Green to join us here shortly. Hopefully he'll join us. So thank you for joining us here this morning. You're on a beautiful Sunday morning. We'll be doing the show periodically during the season, even if there's big games that we cover here on the station. We do a show every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. This week on the program, we got some great names lined up here. We have coming up on the show this week. Let's give you the who's coming up here. We got the coach of VMI on, Scott Watchaham, and then Stan Delkowski will be joining us, who is the Colgate coach. They'll be taking on they'll be heading out to Stanford.
A resident, and I've always saw what the FCS programs were doing in our backyard. So it's a very intriguing opportunity. And after speaking to the president, I really felt good about the opportunity.
At Morgan State University will be joining us on the program live. Yeah. So thanks for joining us this morning. We're waiting for Lamont Jordan to join us. Also, we're going to be previewing on Tuesday night. We're going to also preview. This is a rivalry that's actually being renewed on Thursday night in Pittsburgh. The backyard brawl. We'll have Jerry DePolin, our good friend from who writes for the Pittsburgh Tribune up there in Pittsburgh, and a newcomer to our show, Wesley Shoemaker, who is the lead writer for the Blue and Gold Sports, will be joining us on Tuesday night at the end of the show around 8:40 to preview this game between West Virginia and Pitt. So the backyard brawl is going to be joining us again, so that's going to be great. So let me show you some classic highlights of that rivalry game that used to be a game that was every year in the Big East before both teams decided to go their separate ways. One goes to the ACC and the other one went to the Big 12. But there is a rumor out there that West Virginia might be joining the ACC. So this could be a continuation of their rivalry if they're in the same conference. So it's going to be prime time on Thursday night on ESPN. So September 1st. So hopefully you folks will join that as well. Okay. Well, in the meantime, I guess Lamont Jordan is not going to be joining us. Let's play one of our interviews we didn't play during the show here on the program. We have one of these interviews we did during the summer. So here it is.
I guess last year, a tough season. You guys didn't get your first win until later in the season. So what did you guys learn from all these tough games? You had Syracuse, had North Dakota State on your schedule. And what did you learn from all those games?
Yeah, I think, we just – it's funny. In 19, we had a great year. And 21, we struggled. And I think the difference was just close games. You play close games in this league. And, we lost 5 games by a touchdown or less. And we're in the games until the last minutes of the game. So we've learned the importance of pushing hard and trying to finish plays. And we feel really good about our football team. And we're going to win those close games this year. That's going to be the biggest difference for us.
Yeah, it's a brand new season with the CAA. We got two new teams in the league. You know, JMU went off to do their own thing now. So, what do you think about the league?
Yeah, I still think we have a great league. I mean, obviously JMU is a great football team, but you know they had a couple of years at the top and did a great job, but they're out of here now, and Monmouth is a really great program. Hampton's has been developing their program, so it doesn't change the dynamic of our league in my mind at all. I think that every week's a battle. You got to be ready to play every week, and when you look at our conference, what you see is close games, and it tells you that the level of competition is very high from top to bottom.
Yeah, so you opened the season against the Big 12 champ Baylor, who basically ran Oklahoma State out of Texas last year in the Big 12 title game and did really well in the bowl game against I think they beat somebody I can't remember.
Mississippi
in the bowl game. So what do you see in that Power 5 school that Baylor used to be a laughingstock a long time ago. Now they're very, very good, and they don't give that credit because it's the Big 12.
Yeah, no, they're a great football program. The coaches come in. I know they struggled in his first year, but last year they had a great football team, and they've got a lot of talent. It's what you would expect from a top 10 team. I've coached at that level. I know what they look like, and there's not a lot of weaknesses out there to exploit for us. And the big thing for us is to not try to do too much. Play our game, try to stick to it, eliminate some big mistakes. And when you're playing up a level like that, that's a bear. But the big thing is you can't try to do too much. And if you can get the game in the second half, and maybe they'll get nervous, and it helps you out a little bit. And I think, but our kids are excited about it. We see it as a definite positive for our program to get on and play. Very rarely in life do you get to play a top 5.
All right, folks. We'll get more of the great Tuesday in a few minutes. So let's bring on Lamont Green, former Florida State linebacker, joining us this morning. Hey, Lamont, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know it's 10 o'clock on a Sunday. A lot of people don't really do this stuff on Sunday mornings. But what did you see yesterday with that Florida State game against Duquesne? It was pretty good to see the running games established. That's something that Florida State is known for.
I think it was a really good peep shot for everybody. I think that we did show a little bit of what our identity could become this year. From the looks from what I see, I think we're going to be a very good team running the football. And as everybody knows, if you can run the ball, that opens up world of possibilities, because teams can't just stay in too deep coverage. They have to walk guys down in the box. So it'll open up some other things. And man, we got a bunch of backs, bro. The offensive line looked a lot better. We still got to remember that we weren't playing Duquesne, but it was very encouraging. I think it's something that we needed as a fan base, because we needed something to feel good about, especially going into the Louisiana State game. So they showed a lot of positives. Hopefully we can carry over some of that energy to this week.
Yeah, that's totally true. And having a lot of running backs, that's pretty good. And plus, having 400 yards of total offense by just the running game alone, that hasn't been a long time since. I think want to go back towards like Warwick. Warwick Dunn was running back, or Davin Cook. It's not like you see that all the time.
No, that was very encouraging. All of the backs looked good. They were explosive. They were quick. They hit the holes hard, and they looked really good. On the defensive side of the ball, also now defense looked really good. They looked aggressive. They looked hungry. They played with some excitement. So we'll see.
Yeah. Do you feel like with the rain delay yesterday got them a little more fired up because they were delayed for an hour? So it's like, I guess they've been sitting in that locker room going, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that could have worked two ways, because it could have, we might have played even faster if we didn't have the rain.
Right.
So, it could have worked either way. But I like what I saw yesterday. Hopefully we can carry it to this weekend. I feel good about it.
That's cool. What do you think about Mike Norvell? Are you still around the program a lot, or are you still watch it from afar?
Well, I talk with Mike, Coach Norvell. Actually, I talk with him probably every other week.
Okay.
Call and check in on my son. So we discussed, a little bit what's going on with the team, and he feels really good about the team. He thinks it's one of those special teams, and hopefully we get to see that.
That's cool. Also, I need to talk about your son. I didn't realize your son was in the programs, and that's pretty cool having your son there, basically living the same dream that you did.
Well, actually, he's not there yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Yeah, he's a 2023 recruit.
Okay.
So he'll be there in January.
Okay.
So it's gonna be cool.
Nice. So let's just talk about next week's game against LSU. It's Brian Kelly, but he's in a different uniform as a coach at LSU. It's probably going to be the same type of offense you probably see when he was with Notre Dame. Might be a little bit. It might be a little bit different. It depends on how many horses he has on his offensive line. What do you see from that? What do you think Florida State needs to do? Do they got to go back to that old Notre Dame footage and see if they can find something?
I don't think so. Different coach, I think, is going to be a different. He's going to run his offense that he's been running for years. So a lot of things that you're going to see probably might change a little bit. Got a little bit of different personnel, but overall, I think it'll be the same core, core offense and core things that he's always done. But his teams are usually pretty balanced. So we're gonna have to be ready to, linebackers gonna have to be ready to run and defend. The DB's definitely gonna have to play both areas of the game because they're gonna have to come up and run support, and they're also gonna have to stay peak. LSU's always known to have good receivers. So, like I said, it's gonna be a good heavyweight fight. That's what you want to see. You don't want to, as a competitor, you don't always want to see come in and see your team blow somebody else. You don't really know what you have then until you iron sharpens iron, so we're gonna see. LSU's always going to be a good football team. We're trying to get back to where we were, so it's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah. You played in the Superdome a couple times, right? As a college player and a pro player. What's the difference in that dome when it gets really noisy? What do you guys do to control that noise? Because if you're the visitors, you can't hardly hear.
To be honest with you, when you're in the game, the noise factor only becomes. Most of the time, the noise factor only becomes a problem during the third downs, stuff like that. Cause usually, as a player, a lot of that's blocked out. You can only hear what's going on the field. It's the people in the stands that can hear all the noise. For some reason, it's just not as loud on the field until most of the time to those third downs and goal line situations to where you're isolated on one end of the field. So I think, it'll be what it is. The Superdome's going to be loud anyway. It's always loud in there. So it's just the echo. Once they get used to it, it'll be all right. But one way to neutralize the echo, don't let LSU get on top. That's the best way to keep the noise down.
Yeah, that's true because they're going to be the home team, and Florida State's going to be it's technically a home game for them. Because they're in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, it's basically a home-to-home series. They get one in that. They get one in New Orleans this year. Then we come right back and we get them in Orlando the next year. So it's basically a home-to-home series.
Yeah, that's true. Well, one last question before I let you go. You played in the NFL with the Falcons. What do you think about the Falcons this year with the changes at quarterback and coaches and all? What do you think?
They look really positive in camp. Marcus Mariota, he looked good. He's ready to go. I like what I saw, but one thing about the NFL is you can't tell anything from preseason really. But preseason, they look good. I hope for the best.
That's true. Well, Lamont, thank you so much for joining me on Sunday morning, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And hopefully we'll talk to you on our Tuesday night program.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. All right, folks. That's Lamont Green from former Florida State linebacker joining us here on the program by telephone. So it is 10:19. Let's bring in Grayson Mann, who helps out our good friend of the folks at the Clemson Sporting News. So, hey, Grayson, how you doing?
What's going on, man? How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, not bad. This is a news show we're trying to do on a Sunday morning, and I had this idea like Wednesday afternoon, like, oh, let me try to get this guy on. So let's talk about yesterday. I know Clemson didn't play yesterday. They're going to play this coming Monday night on Labor Day night against Georgia Tech. But what's your takes on those two ACC games?
I think that week 0, I was just, first of all, so happy to have football back. But it was interesting because I was really hoping to get a chance to just see what Florida State, they're growing in this program with like Norvell. I know you just had Lamont Green on talking about it, and watching them and UNC just kind of scouting for the future because we play FSU on the schedule, and UNC is potentially more of that. Hey, maybe we'll see them in December. Maybe we'll see them down the road. So it was really interesting. I know it's against Mine and it's against Duquesne, so you kind of take these performances with a grain of salt because it is those games you schedule at the beginning of the year to kind of get things going, more reps, more practice. So they look good, though. I saw Florida State had 3 running backs with over 100 yards, so it was pretty impressive to see there, kind of not having it all be on Jordan Travis. So it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues following into the later stretch of those games, especially in conference play.
Well, and also playing against LSU next week, you don't know what type of if that running game, because nothing against the Dukes of Duquesne. We had them on our program. They're a very good SBS school. They do really well in the Northeastern Conference, but when you play a team like a Power 5 school, and you get that nice payday, you don't have enough horses to actually keep up with them. And I think the rain delay actually hurt them yesterday because I guess they were all fired up and they had an hour delay because of the thunderstorm in the area, and I think that took all the. I don't think the coach wants to make an excuse. I don't think Dabo Sweeney ever makes an excuse about that. But I think the weather makes more things for people to sit around and wait and wait and wait, and they go, okay, you're going to go on the field, and they didn't have warm ups because I was reading this morning. They didn't have warm ups.
Wow. That's it, especially in the first game of the season. There's so much anticipation and so much buildup. It's almost just like it's a cliffhanger. You're just waiting. You're like, well, that was anticlimactic because we just got out the field, we got on the bus, we got to the stadium, we're doing these warm-ups, and then boom, delay, and you're just sitting there, and you get all that energy kind of seeping out of you. So yeah, especially for a team like Duquesne who's coming in, not specifically there's not any advantage for them. They need all the momentum they can get, and the rain delay certainly wasn't helpful for them.
Yeah. So you just got done with Clemson's fall practice. How's Dabo Sweeney, and what's the land with the quarterbacks and all that stuff?
Yeah, fall camp's been great. There's a lot of questions we had going into January, February. How are the coaches going to look? How are these new freshmen going to look? What's the quarterback situation going to look like? There was a lot of questions. Everyone brings up Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence, I think, is like a comparison. But for me, it was just kind of seeing how does DJ respond to all this. He's looked great. For him, losing all that weight. We talked to him in Charlotte, slimming down. I have 2 words for you, Chris: perspective and depth. I think last season, when you go through all those challenges, you go through all those ebbs and flows. 10-3 is not necessarily a horrible season by any means. As ESPN was talking about, I think during the Florida State game, they're like, Clemson, not a horrible season. I was like, wait a second, 10 wins. I was like, come on, guys. But perspective, these players, all of them either have been imparting this winning culture, going 12-1, making the playoffs every single year, or they're dominating in high school. So to kind of get kicked in the face a little bit, go 10-3, go to the Cheez-It Bowl, I think that brings a lot of perspective and how what was it going to take this offseason for them to climb back to that top of the mountain again and get the ACC back. And I think depth too, Chris. This is a team that hopefully, if they can stay healthy, there's going to be players that are going to be on the sidelines that can contribute almost immediately. We're going to see that with our defensive line with Xavier Thomas out for a couple weeks. But you have guys like Justin Maskell, KJ Henry, Cade Denhoff, Kevin Swint. Those guys are going to get a chance to step up. And I think we're going to be really impressed with what we see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be people like you said, a 10-3 record. That sounds like we're back when Florida State was doing their thing back in the early '80s, early '90s. And Bobby Bowden made a comment one time. I saw this yesterday. If you're 8-3 and I'm saying you're having a down year, that means it's a good sign for your club because they're talking about it. And B, I guess you got to work a little bit better to get better to fix those problems.
Yeah. There's a lot of chatter especially being on campus. There's a lot of people like, man, why is this happening? Why is this happening? I remember growing up in South Carolina, had our number every year. So I was like, man, we just beat South Carolina. We won our bowl game, 10 wins. I was like, that's fine with me. I know the playoffs is the ultimate goal, but being able to have a program with that high of a standard, it's a blessing to have, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big Florida State fan, so beating Florida and Miami, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
That's their two rivals. We knock them out. That's the Florida Cup. We get a flag, and we own the state of Florida for the year.
Right.
And if we go to a bowl game, that's great. That's why I look at it. But these days, it's just a win is a win. And yesterday was just I'm glad it was the first game of the year, and I was a little afraid about the way Duquesne looked because I saw a lot of different publications saying, "Oh, they might give Florida State a run for their money." And it's going to be like a Jacksonville State game. I don't know if they're going to pay attention to it. Oh, they definitely going to. Yeah, and then I saw parts of the game, the beginning of the first half. Mike Norvell was really fired up and really ticked at one of the players that got a personal foul, and I have never seen him turn beet red from the sideline.
I like how they kept bringing up that Jacksonville State game, and I think it kind of shows you, even though it's FCS, even though we're being told, and I just said a couple minutes ago, take it with a grain of salt. I think it shows you how far this program has come along with Norvell and just kind of what the culture is and how they're establishing how things are going to be run from here. Because Jacksonville State, that's about, I don't know if you can either disagree or agree, but I think probably that's the lowest point of the program is just having it feel like it was all coming down. And now it feels like things are changing. There's a established direction.
I agree. I think every program has something like that. Like Miami went through there, when they got destroyed by you guys 58-0, and now Golden got fired, and and they have been going through 3 coaches in the last 4 or 5 years, and they haven't found the right one that's going to fit. And they're still stuck to the 80s when they won national championships. Like, folks, it's the 80s. That's over. And then with Florida State, that Jacksonville State game, kind of brought everything down to because it started. I felt like it was still started rolling with Jimbo leaving, the way he left, and then when they hired Willie Taggart, thinking he was the savior, and then that didn't work, and then Mike Norvell comes in, and then you have COVID, and then you have all the other stuff, and now that loss last year actually made it sound like, all right, I guess we got to start from the ground up, because I think it's okay. After first game, I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, and I did want to make a little point out that the Jacksonville State quarterback Zaire Cooper was a former Clemson Tiger, so it was a little bit of like a cross pollination going on there.
Yeah, it's always Dabo Sweeney's players ruining somebody, real quick. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Tigers against Georgia Tech. I know this. I'm looking on paper, it's going to be like a track meet, and people may want to turn to a baseball game on Labor Day night and watch, maybe the Mets take on the Dodgers or something like that. But but going down to New Orleans, going down to Atlanta, are you making the trip down there?
I am. I'm very excited about it. It not only just like the fact that it's Clemson football playing, just they're back. The season is back. We're not practice pads anymore. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. I am just excited to be there. But yeah, we'll be there covering it.
That's cool. So this is your first time in that stadium, right?
It's my first time in like the kind of like the press setting. I've been there. I went there last year for a Patriots game, and then I actually was there a couple weeks ago for Atlanta, the United and the Red Bulls played. My roommate's cousin is one of the goalies for the Red Bulls, so we got free seats. We're like, hey, we gotta go.
Nice. That's
you gotta
awesome.
take the advantage. Yeah, it's a nice stadium. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, I know Gary Stokin really well, and I wish I could get down there, but the problem is it's called travel, pay out of your own pocket. The things that and I don't get paid on my other job until Friday, so I'm like, great, and but I like to be down there for. And the national semifinal game is going to be down there this year, and hopefully, I could get a pass for that and go see the games from there, from that point of view, or if not, still make a trip to the city anyway and see what see what the whole excitement is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So with Georgia Tech, let's talk about Georgia Tech real quick. They're not the Collins comes from Temple, still trying to figure out how to fix Atlanta, because I guess everybody still thinks Paul Johnson's the coach, but he's long gone playing golf. And do you feel like Collins is one of those coaches that are on the hot seat, just like Dino Babers and other people?
Yeah, I was doing some research last night in the program, and it's just everything that I've been reading from just Atlanta Journal-Constitution, all like the Georgia Tech Center articles. This feels like Collins' last chance to get it right. I think there was like a 9-25 record, something like that along those lines, where he's got limited time. He's on a very short leash to figure this out. I don't think Clemson's going to be their measuring stick necessarily, just because there's a lot of moving parts for them. There's a lot of I was doing just looking at some players, and I was like, man, Jeff Sims didn't play against Clemson last year. This is going to be a different look for the Clemson's defense. There's a lot of angles you can pull from. This was the strangest game that when Georgia Tech came to Clemson, it was about the strangest game that I've ever seen, because you have a whole half go by, and then boom, it's like we talked about earlier with the weather delay, where it just drains you of all your momentum. And so they're just sitting there, and they come back out, have to make goal line stand. They take a safety, and then I was like, what is happening? There was so much, it was a lot of confusion. But yeah, Georgia Tech and with Jeff Collins, like I said, I think this might be his last shot, which is unfortunate because this conference is really growing. I feel we can talk about that too if you want to. Just the state of the ACC, it's a growing, and there's a lot of good teams in this conference.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams in this conference, and I feel like now, they got it. I feel like now the ACC is playing like third fiddle to the Big Ten and the ACC and the SEC, because all these new contracts and TVs and all that stuff. And it's like,
oh yeah,
now we sound like we're a bunch of we have the ACC games on a hillbilly channel. It's like just bring back Jefferson Pilot Sports. Just bring that back. You'll be fine.
Well, we'll get some games on Herb FM Sports Radio. Get like a TV contract.
Give me the money. Give me the money. So I can sit home and retire. I don't have to go to Home Depot later today. But that's what my other job is. But there's nothing wrong with Home Depot. They're good people. But so Georgia Tech, I just feel like Collins is on the hot seat. I feel like if he starts out 1-4, I think he's gone.
Yeah, it's certainly, I think Collins, there's a chance that if this Clemson game goes similar to last year, even if Georgia Tech doesn't necessarily win it, they're going to go, hey, this is a Clemson team that's revamped. They're going in the right direction. Let's keep them around for a little bit. Let's kind of see what happens and just kind of play it almost game by game, just to see how they evolve, how they grow. Because they have been recovering from that Paul Johnson stuff for a long time. I remember when I first watched Georgia Tech not run the option. I was like, wait a minute, this is strange. This isn't Georgia Tech. So it certainly is a weird thing to see them go 4 wide and start throwing the ball. It's very weird.
Yeah, normally you hear Georgia Tech is option. That's what you hear, Georgia Tech option. When you hear Georgia Tech, the pro style offense, you're like, what?
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. So what I didn't get a chance to talk to you after the ACC kickoff. What did you take from that experience? Because I think you were there for the first time, and I think you were at all with all the different coaches, right?
Yeah, and it was a lot of firsts this summer, so I'm very great. So first of all, if anyone from Clemson Sports News or anyone wants to take a look at Clemson Sports News, just a little quick self-advertisement there. Great. Gary McDaniel had the site, gave me a chance to do all the stuff. Really thankful for that. But yeah, the Charlotte experience was just, man, it was something. I love the ability to be able to travel, go up there, check things out. All the coaches, what I took away from it is when you're in that kind of state, everyone's asking all these questions. It was really a positive experience for everybody. They're talking about what they've improved on, what their state of the program is. The thing that I was looking forward to is how much is NC State going to talk about Clemson? They got a lot of questions about that. They seem pretty confident about their ability or potential ability to perform against us for consistent wins. So that'll be interesting to see how that rivalry continues to. There's a jab here and there this summer, so it was very interesting to see that. The one team that I really enjoyed listening into was Boston College with Jeff Hadley, Phil Dracovic. Dracovic's going to be really, Chris, if there's a quarterback that we need to watch out for, it's Dracovic. He's going to be really special.
If he stays healthy, if he doesn't get hurt. And and the good thing about I saw Jeff, Coach Haley, downstairs. I was downstairs looking at the different uniforms, and he was coming in, and I said, "Hey, Coach," and he knew me from the Zoom calls from a couple of years ago, and I introduced myself, and he actually thanked me. He goes, "Thanks for coming up and say hi to me," because a lot of people don't do that. I'm like, "You're welcome." I said, "Hey, I just noticed who you are," and and just say, "Hey, how you doing?" That's what I like about the ACC kickoff. They're very, the coaches are very. You could talk to them, a little bit. You could talk to the players, off the mic. Like I ran into Jordan Travis on the way around the, after everything was over, and I just talked to him real quick off the off the mic, and I said, "I'm like, man, dude, you get your ass kicked all the time." And then he goes, "I know." I was like, make sure you be careful this year because we need you to
Oh
be
man.
healthy. And he goes, "No problem, man." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Thanks for the encouragement." I was like, "You're welcome." I said, "I don't need you." I said, "I don't have any eligibility to come down to save you." Yeah.
Chris
But
Heidel, 6th-year senior.
yeah, I know, 6 year senior. But yeah, but I like the ACC kickoff because it's very, like you got, like it was your first time. Every year it gets to the point that everybody knows who's there,
Yeah.
and they get and coaches and PR people and all the different schools get to know who you are, and they give you opportunities later in the season to go cover a game. Like I might be able to get down to your neck of the woods to do a Clemson game if I could do it.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, but the problem is right now I got to pass for Maryland and Michigan for the game at Ann Arbor. Yeah.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right.
I'm definitely going for that
Oh
one.
yeah, you
Yeah,
absolutely
I
need
have
to.
to
That
fire
it
up the
feels like a
car if I have to hitchhike for 3 days to get there,
feels like a bucket list kind of opportunity though.
Yeah, and you don't get an opportunity in the media to go to Michigan because that's like the big house. That's
Yeah.
like, I've been to Notre Dame like 2 times already, and to me that's like okay, that's fine. I'm not dying to get a Notre Dame pass because
Oh,
I've
I
been
am.
there.
Chris,
Yeah,
I
but I've been there, so
yeah.
it's like okay, I was there when it was like 60 degrees out in October, and I was there when it was 14 degrees out when Florida State was there. Yeah, so
Very two different experiences, I'm sure.
exactly, at least I've seen it. Before, and then I've been to Yankee Stadium for the game, the Shamrock game against Syracuse, and that was pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah, but it's like to me these are like okay, I'm done with that one. Why do I need to feel? I've seen it. Maybe now down the road I'll see if I could join another game there, but it's fine with me.
Yeah.
It was great. I hopped on the train. I think my buddy and I drove. We parked, hopped on the subway, went to Yankee Stadium, and got there. So
Well, fair
not
enough.
bad. Yeah. But this year I'm trying to do other games so I could,
Yeah.
because I know with my schedule and going, and I definitely still want to do the ACC championship game if there's no matter what, because I like Charlotte, and Charlotte's so nice during the Christmas season with all the, the different colors and, and that to me brings out my Christmas because that starts my Christmas season because it would be like the game's done, then, it's Christmas time. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I look at. You do a show every Tuesday. You do a show before I do my show. Yeah, because you do one at the Benson Ford dealership. I think that must be cool. Are you selling cars too during the show?
We try to get a good deal. We try to sell some cars in the process. We're talking about DJ, and then I'm trying to get somebody to take the car at at the selling price, stuff like that. But yeah, so we've actually been at Arden's Burger and Grill in Central, filming there, getting some great food too. So like last week we were talking about our players to watch, and the owner Donnie comes up with a hot dog with mac and cheese on it, and I was like, I'm gonna lose my train of thought here. That looks really good. So we get to eat that on set, which was cool. But yeah, we're doing our Clemson Georgia Tech preview at Benson Ford and Easley. We're very excited about that. Me, Jacob, and Cliff are going to be Jay and Cliff are going to be talking some Clemson Georgia Tech. It's about that time. It's football season. Really excited about it.
And you guys do a show each Tuesday. This week's going to be at the car dealership. Are you going to be there, every Tuesday at the car dealership, or are you going to go back to the restaurant?
I think that's in the end that's going to be Gary's decision to make, but I just kind of go where I'm told.
Well, let's call Gary. Hey, Gary.
He'd pick up. I know he'd pick up. Be like, oh, what's going on?
He's a good man. He's a very cool guy, and it's pretty cool that he had two professions. The first profession, he was working in the music world.
Yeah,
and I hear all the stories about it. Like he, set this music for that guy and this person. I was like, wow, I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I remember when I first talked to him. It was like after Twitter Space, he wanted me to come on. He started talking about his experience, and I was like, this guy has got a lot. It's like just like a whole encompassing. This is a man who's like lived his life. He's got so much experience and so much just to teach, which I'm super thankful for. Just someone who's been in that kind of industry. You can kind of compare. Just like it's a very too competitive industry, so it's kind of interesting to hear about one and gain perspective for the other. So I've learned a lot in these last 2 months.
Yeah, I would like to sit down and ask him why did you went from talking to Pearl Jam to talking to Dabba Sweeney?
Yeah,
It's like,
two
well,
superstars though.
yeah, it's like you it's like me, joining talking to the Pro Bowlers and then going to do college football.
Yeah,
The bowling people. It's like, okay, that's a kind of different, weird, spectrum of sports, but that works.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, all right, buddy. Well, thanks very much for coming on this morning, and thanks for making part of our Sunday. And
Yeah,
good luck in the rest of the week with your show, and safe travels to Atlanta. Hopefully, the weather's nice, and you don't have to worry about the rain that was down there this past week.
no
So
delays there. No delays there.
yeah, it's only how far is it from you from Clemson? What 6 hours?
It's about 2 hours actually.
Two
It's not a
hours.
bad drive at all.
Wow. Why did it take something? I went down to Atlanta years ago. I was doing we used to do Bowie State football up here in Hartford in Maryland. And it took us 12 hours to get to Atlanta.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, like, did I go the wrong way? Because you're telling me it's only 2 hours to Atlanta. I'm like, why did it take a long time for me to do something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, boss. Well, thanks for coming on, and tell Gary I said hi, and we'll keep in touch. Okay.
All right, man. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, buddy. See ya.
See ya.
All right, that's Grayson Mann, who covers Clemson sports for the Clemson Sporting News. He'll be doing his preview of the Clemson Georgia Tech game this week, live from Benson Ford there in good old beautiful Clemson, South Carolina. So if you want to go on, you can go to his website, his Twitter handle, and click on it, and you can watch him from that beautiful location. You might see him sell a car. You never know. So let's bring in Nathan Perry here, who covers the Commanders. Hey, Nathan.
Greetings and salutations. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Good morning, and how are you?
I'm doing not too bad. It's preseason, so these losses don't hit quite as hard as they do in the regular season.
Right. Let's talk about last night. It looks like the Commanders had the Ravens on the ropes. The Ravens won 21, 22 straight preseason games. So everybody's like, "Uh-oh, is it going to go down? Is it going to?" And you hear, it's funny when you live in Baltimore, you get listen to Fox 45 doing the Commanders broadcast, and you can watch Channel 11 doing the Ravens broadcast. And the guy on the Commanders, Doc Walter, he's like, let's go for the knockout punch, man. It's like, really, dude, calm it down. It's like he got to the point I had to ask my girlfriend to turn into Jerry Sandusky because I know Jerry is, not, a little annoying sometimes, but that'd be better than Doc Walker. But he's a good guy anyway. Yeah. But what's your take on the Commander? I know they're 0-3 in preseason, but preseason doesn't mean dilly poo because in baseball, when you saw in preseason like spring training, you could have the losing record in spring training and you still win the World Series.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot of that hope that's still there as far as this is just preseason and hopefully these losses don't hurt the team in the long run. But there's definitely some concerning things for Washington fans here. The defense hasn't been playing well, although the second and third stringers did well last night against Baltimore. That's also against other people's second and third stringers. So the first string defense still has a lot of question marks being able to get off on third down. The scoring really hasn't been there for the offense. I'm a little less worried about the offense because I think that there's some playmakers on that side of the ball for Washington. It's whether or not they're actually going to be able to get there. And now with a missed kick and a missed extra point earlier in the preseason, you have to wonder, is kicking going to be a problem for Washington again this year after having picked up Joey Sly just last year?
Yeah, it's true. And you had Hopkins for a long time, former Seminole kicker, and he went on, and then you had Cano. Cano was there for a couple of years. So, I think field goal kicking is something they got to work on, but it was just preseason,
Yeah, not all of us are fortunate enough to have Justin Tucker. So
we didn't know. I didn't even know Justin Tucker wasn't playing last night. My girlfriend was wondering if she was if he was injured. I'm like, no, they sat out all the starters. He's done for this until September 11th.
He has nothing more to prove.
Yeah,
there's nothing more to prove. So
the guy can put a blindfold on and kick a 60-yard field goal. He's fine. Yeah, he should do one of those McDonald's commercials with like Michael Jordan used to do. Like, I kick it off the roof to here at the boom. And
yeah, between him and like Larry Bird, right, where they're just doing the game of horse.
Exactly. So, what do you think about Sam Howell? Is he a good backup quarterback for you guys?
I think that's one thing that he's solidified very much so, is that this guy, I know a lot of people are kind of putting him into the QB of the future talk. I want them to pump their brakes a little bit. He's a 5th round pick for a reason, but I think that he absolutely is QB2 next year. This year, keep him as QB3. You have something good with Taylor Heineke as far as that's concerned, because Taylor knows he's a vet, he knows the playbook, and the team rallies around him. But Sam Howell has something special with the way that he's able to zip the ball. He's getting it there. He can throw. And of course, you saw a little bit of that escapability last night. Like he's a small guy, but he's pretty strong. So I think they have something in there in the future that's going to be a good quality backup. Smart pick in the 5th round.
Yeah, and plus he was playing down in North Carolina, and the interceptions do come with him a lot, because like that Kansas City game, he threw one, with what, a minute to go, and that's normal, because I saw that a lot in Chapel Hill last year. Like, he puts a lot of pressure on himself in the last minute or so, and I think he needs to relax.
Yeah, and I mean, he is a rookie. It's going to take some time, but he's coming into a good situation this year where he'll be QB3. There's no expectation for him to come in and start right away. If Washington starts Sam Howell sometime this season, the season has gone terribly wrong. So you don't want to see that as a Commanders fan. But next year, Taylor Heineke's not on the books next year, so you'll probably see Sam Howell take that QB2 and only be QB1 if Carson Wentz doesn't work out here in DC.
Let's talk about Carson Wentz. It seems like ever since that injury in LA when he was with the Eagles, he's been going downhill.
Yeah, it's funny to say that, because statistically, it's not been really the case, right? There's definitely been some stinkers that he had there in Indianapolis, but as a year, his year was really solid. 3,700 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But everyone remembers those bad games. In fact, especially, their lasting memory of him in Indianapolis is a left-handed shovel pass that gets intercepted as they were driving the ball to potentially score. And I think that just kind of sticks with people. But I'm not expecting Carson Wentz to be the MVP level that he was when Philadelphia ended up winning the Super Bowl, right? If you remember that year, he was on the path to potentially being MVP before getting hurt and Nick Foles taking over and then taking Philadelphia to the promised land. But what I do expect from Carson Wentz is better QB play than we had last year. He can make the throws. There's going to be some problems with him. You saw that a little bit in preseason, where he will hold on to the ball longer than needs to, because he's looking for the big play. And sometimes you just have to take the layups and those easier passes, and hopefully the offense gets to move and we have some of those long drives that Taylor Heineke was able to used to beat Tampa Bay and a couple of other teams last year.
Right. Let's talk about Ron Rivera. Riverboat, gambler. Ron Rivera. He went from Carolina, got fired, came up here. Do you feel like he's still trying to establish what the Commanders are?
No, I think he's very well, he's established what they are character-wise. Now, unfortunately, none of this is translating to on the field, but he's exactly who the franchise needed. And I like to liken him a little bit to George Allen, who didn't win a Super Bowl with the Redskins, but did bring them back into a competitive nature. And then just a couple coaches after him, we got Joe Gibbs and started winning Super Bowls. And I think Ron Rivera is going to be kind of in that same boat. I don't really see him as a winning coach, but he's exactly who this franchise needs, because there's still allegations and there's still this black cloud over the organization. So would I like to see it translate to wins? Absolutely, because winning is honestly what's most important here in the NFL. but having a respectable franchise would be nice. Having a franchise that people don't consider, in the doldrums, like the Browns and, some of these other teams that are just perennial losers like Detroit. But Washington hasn't won anything in 30 years. And the 20 years under Dan Snyder have been abysmal.
Yeah. And I feel bad for that franchise because, for the Redskins, when I moved here from New York down here, we didn't have the Ravens. And then to me, my dad and I used to watch the Redskins games every Sunday because it was something he enjoyed, and I feel bad because back then they had, the Redskins had great teams with Joe Gibbs and, made it to Super Bowls and all that stuff. And now they're like almost like the laughing stock in the NFL, and they're like they're technically part of the old regime back in when the league came out.
Yeah, I still think they're top 10 in franchise wins, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that, they had those Joe Gibb years and that they've been around for 90 years. They're celebrating 90 years. So, but 20 years of mishandling and just some bad runs is definitely keeping them towards the bottom of the barrel. But Dan Snyder probably doesn't care too much. He's still cashing those checks. They're the sixth most money-making franchise in the NFL. So that it's hard to feel bad for Dan Snyder when he still gets to, live the high life.
What is this future like? Because I feel like the Congress wanted to meet him and talk to him about the whole situation, and he pleaded the fifth. And it seems like this whole thing that you're talking about, this black cloud is going to stay around for a while.
Yeah, Teflon Dan there. There's if there was anything worth, he actually spent more than a full day. Like it was like 11 hours, like in with Congress. If there was anything there that was worth taking him down or releasing, we would have already heard it. So more than likely, nothing's going to come out of the congressional stuff. I wish that they would just release the report, but even then, public opinion on this has already been expressed, and I don't think there's enough continual outrage from people, especially as they get into the football season. This is going to linger for a while, but realistically, nothing's going to happen to Dan, at least anytime soon. He'll sell the team when he wants to sell the team. Again, why would you sell it when you're the sixth most money-making franchise?
Yeah. Well, real quick, let's preview Week 1 against Jacksonville. That's going to be an interesting game. You got the Clemson quarterback coming. You get the former one of those Clemson quarterbacks. And then you have a new coach down there in Jacksonville because I guess the Urban Meyer regime didn't work really well. Now he's back on Fox.
Yeah.
It's like, really? That's really that's nice that Fox gave you a job back there, buddy. But
hopefully he's a better analyst than he is a NFL head coach.
I think he was trying to see if he could do it in the NFL, and I don't blame him trying. It's the same thing like Nick Saban. Nick Saban will never go to the NFL because he tried with the Dolphins and left town.
It's a different thing when people are earning paychecks and they don't have to put up with your kind of style. So yeah, as far as the matchup though, it is going to be a lot more difficult than Washington fans are going to want. I don't expect them to blow this game out of the water. I do expect them to win, and Carson Wentz getting revenge over them for that season-ending loss last year with Indianapolis. But there's no gimme games when you're Washington. When you're a team that's as bad as Washington, even though they're starting off the season with the two worst teams from last year, the Jaguars in Week 1, the Lions in Week 2, that should be a layup. That should be an easy route to 2-0, but nothing's ever easy in Washington. I expect this one to go into the fourth quarter, and hopefully this time, if Washington's driving, it doesn't end with a pass behind a wide receiver. So,
yeah. So what are you guys are doing on the show this week? I saw on Twitter you guys have a full lineup of. You're going to look at the roster. You're going to talk about who gets cut, who's going to be on the practice squad. Just talk about what you guys are going to be
Yeah,
talking
so
about.
it's a pretty busy week for us. As tonight we'll be doing the day after reckoning, where we'll be breaking down the game against Baltimore, taking it on from a Washington perspective. That's tonight at 7:30. Then tomorrow night at 7:30, we will be paring down the roster to 53 man. So the 53 man roster gets set on Tuesday for the NFL. What we do is we get some content creators from across the Washington Commanders fan base and have them, help us bring this 53 man roster to a reality there. And then on Wednesday is our flagship program, 7:30. You can catch us live at 7:30 on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and we'll be previewing the season as a whole, maybe make a few bold predictions, see what we got coming forward for there.
Yeah, and it's always good. It's football season now. You got college kicked off yesterday. The NFL is going to be in the first game is going to be the 9th on NBC.
Yeah, they give college football 1 week to shine before taking over.
What I saw what a week ago was, last weekend. It was like the last weekend of no football until I said February, because you got all the NFL playoff games, you got all the college playoff games, you got this. It's going to be fun until February when we're going to go basketball
season. Yeah,
basketball. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for coming on this morning, and I
appreciate you having me.
I hope you guys have a great show tonight, and if you guys want to tune into watching it, you can actually probably access it from your Twitter page, right? You can actually tune in. Yeah, so it starts at 7:30 tonight, and I'll try to tune in when I'm at work and let's see how it looks on my phone. Yeah, let's see how you guys are doing.
We'll appreciate that.
But thanks for coming on. Always don't be a stranger. We'll try to get you on during some of the Commander game. Preview some Commander games on our program on Tuesday.
Awesome. Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. See you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That's Nathan Perry, who is the one of the people from the Refined District who covers the Commanders. We're going to wrap up the show here with a little quick preview of our stuff going on for next week. Please join us this Tuesday night. We got the Backyard Brawl preview with our good friend Jerry Apola from who writes for the Panthers up there for Pitt, for the Tri-Total Media, and then Wesley Shoemaker, who's the lead writer of the Blue Gold Sports. They'll be on around 8:40 to preview this Backyard Brawl between the Mountaineers and the Panthers, and this time it's going to be in Pittsburgh. They'll be playing for the next 3 seasons in a row until they'll decide to continue the series. But it's great to see one of the classic series back in full force here. Yeah, so that's going to be this Tuesday night right here on the Sports Talk with Chris Heidel, with George Bashira, and Adam Meisner will be joining us, and Steve Zulich will be with us as well. So I'll just turn this off here. So, folks, thanks for joining us. Have a great Sunday. Please join us on next Tuesday night. This coming Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Let me bring that back up here. Let me fix this real quick. At 7 p.m. So, at 7. So now until then, I'm Chris Heidel. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Go Mets and go O's wherever you are. Have a great one.